Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me, Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called 21 Jump Street, released in 2012. This is a spoiler content video, so please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. Morton Schmidt, the school's quintessential nerd, fails to muster the courage to ask his longtime crush to prom. In stark contrast, Greg Jenko, the school's athletic jock, finds himself banned from prom due to his abysmal academic performance. Fast forward 7 years, and Schmidt and Jenko's paths cross again, this time at the police academy. Fate intervenes, and they form an unlikely friendship. Schmidt, with his academic prowess, aids Jenko in his studies, while Jenko motivates Schmidt to embrace physical fitness. Together, they navigate the rigors of the academy and emerge as partners. However, their aspirations are somewhat dampened when they find themselves assigned to park patrol, a role teeming with monotonous tasks. Their journey takes an unexpected turn when they stumble upon a group of bikers indulging in the recreational use of a substance. Schmidt and Jenko decide to confront them, leading to a search that uncovers an illegal substance. While some of the bikers manage to flee, Jenko apprehends one of them and proceeds to handcuff him. The arrest becomes a cause for celebration, albeit one that might have been a bit premature. Their enthusiasm is short-lived, as it turns out the arrest is invalid due to Jenko's oversight in failing to read the suspect his Miranda rights. The incident underscores their need for maturity and professionalism. As a result, they find themselves reassigned to a resurrected special unit at 21 Jump Street. This new assignment lands them at a Korean church, a frugal hideout, where they meet Captain Dixon. He explains that their department specializes in infiltrating high schools, and they were selected for their youthful appearances. 2 cardinal rules are laid out: they cannot get expelled, and they cannot engage in inappropriate relationships with students, a stipulation that is specifically directed at Jenko, given their distinct physical appearances. Captain Dixon summons the duo to his office and briefs them on their new mission. They are tasked with thwarting the distribution of a synthetic drug, HFS candy, at their former high school and preventing its spread to other campuses. To achieve this, they are assigned new undercover identities as siblings. Schmidt, feeling less than thrilled about returning to high school, utters a prayer to the Korean Jesus, recalling his previous school experience with disdain. Jenko, on the other hand, finds amusement in Schmidt's apprehension. Captain Dixon sternly reminds them that they will be residing in Schmidt's parents' home for the duration of this undercover operation. Schmidt's parents manage to thoroughly embarrass him in front of Jenko. Later, in the solitude of his room, Schmidt flips through a school album, reflecting on how popular Jenko was in high school, while he didn't enjoy the same level of popularity. The next morning, Jenko takes on the role of teaching Schmidt the ways of being cool, carrying his bag with a single strap, appearing nonchalant, poking fun at those who exert extra effort, embracing good looks, and cruising in a nice car. Upon arriving at the school, they boldly take a handicapped parking spot. Under peer pressure, Schmidt quickly succumbs and starts wearing his bag with both straps. They're in for a surprise when they realize their old high school has undergone significant changes. As they approach a group of students, Jenko adopts an arrogant persona, teasing Eric and another student. This escalates to a physical confrontation, leading to accusations of Jenko being homophobic when it's revealed that Eric is gay. In the principal's office, they discover that the principal is on the verge of a nervous breakdown due to a recent student overdose. They're sternly warned against re-entering the office, under threat of expulsion. An unexpected twist occurs when the principal asks for Doug, Jenko's undercover name, and Jenko mistakenly swaps their identities, resulting in them receiving each other's class schedules. Jenko found himself in AP chemistry class, a situation where he felt out of his element. The chemistry teacher, who seemed flustered by his presence, ended up stammering and making mistakes while checking his test. Meanwhile, Schmidt, in drama class, took the opportunity to approach Molly, the girl he had a crush on. During their conversation, he discreetly gathered information about how to obtain the candy. This innocent exchange took an unexpected turn when the drama teacher invited Schmidt to audition for the role of Peter Pan. Schmidt's audition didn't go as planned, and during this awkward moment, he received a text from an unknown number. This prompted him to make a quick exit from the audition. The teacher checks his chest. The test, yes, he stutters. Schmidt sent a message to meet. They went to the transaction room where Eric was sitting. The two were being very sketchy after Eric joked that they were drug addicts, so he objected, plus they looked 40 years old. To prove that they weren't freaks, Eric asked them to take a candy here. They hesitate, but this is his ultimatum, so they agree. They try to get it out of their system, but they can't vomit. Their next plan is to grope each other's mouths. The janitor is not amused. In the end, they fail and decide to go back to their class, saying that they don't feel anything. The gym teacher caught up with them, mentioning that they were late for class. He couldn't help but admire Jenko's impressive muscles and was aware of his track record. However, due to the earlier mix-up in names, Schmidt ended up being mistakenly identified as the track star. Just as Schmidt confidently asserted his newfound role on the track, the effects of the candy began to kick in. The first stage was marked by uncontrollable giggling, making them quite conspicuous. In the second stage, while in the chemistry class, the candy's influence left them disoriented, stumbling over their words and actions, and creating a scene. Unknowingly writing the number 4 repeatedly, a clear sign of overconfidence brought on by the candy's effects. In contrast, Schmidt ventured into his drama class, where he unexpectedly excelled in his performance. To everyone's amazement, Molly, the girl he had a crush on, was particularly impressed, and the teacher welcomed him to take on the role of Peter Pan in the school production. The fourth stage of the candy's effects is a complete loss of control over one's actions. Jenko disrupts the music rehearsal, while Schmidt, feeling overly confident, takes the baton with an overwhelming lead, only to be soon overtaken. This provokes the teacher's fury, but Schmidt seems to be thoroughly enjoying himself. The fifth stage is marked by an overpowering sense of sleepiness. Despite the mishaps at the track meet, Eric starts to develop a liking for Schmidt. Jenko is perplexed by the sudden shift in perception, as what used to be considered nerdy is now regarded as cool. When the duo presents their findings to Captain Dixon, he is far from pleased, deeming their approach irrelevant as their mission is to infiltrate the drug dealers and locate the supplier. Their board plan is of no use in this regard. At school, Jenko attempts to break into the chemistry class, suspecting the students are involved in cooking the candy, but instead, they're playing Bakugan. There, he befriends a group of nerds who offer to help educate him. Schmidt amusingly remarks to Jenko that if he had been born a decade later, he would have been the coolest kid in school. He seems to be thoroughly enjoying the newfound coolness and his acceptance among the popular crowd. The duo comes up with a plan to divide their efforts. Schmidt infiltrates the popular kids, while Jenko immerses himself with the nerds, albeit reluctantly. Later that evening, Schmidt calls Molly to get closer to her, but his mother intercepts the call and embarrasses him. Molly finds it quite amusing, and they engage in a conversation about their parents. Jenko later enters and starts teasing Schmidt while he's on the phone. Eventually, Schmidt manages to invite Molly to a party they plan to host the following week, which she seems to enjoy. However, Dixon discovers their party plans through Twitter and issues a warning. In preparation for their party, Schmidt's parents depart on a vacation he has arranged for them. They purchase a large amount of liquor and retrieve some Mary Jane from the evidence room. A successful toast leads to their house quickly filling up with people, including Molly and Eric. Jenko manages to steal Schmidt's phone and installs spyware with the help of his new friends. Eric indicates his dislike for his brother, leading to an altercation. As tensions rise and a fight breaks out, Jenko steps in to handle most of the combat while Schmidt remains himself. After the antagonist gang is defeated, they all celebrate. However, the mood changes drastically when they notice Schmidt has been stabbed. Remarkably, he takes the injury in stride, claiming it's no big deal, which prompts cheers. Schmidt's parents, en route home, realize they've left her phone behind and return to find a wounded Schmidt. They manage to remove the dagger and numb the pain with some additional shots. Schmidt forms a strong connection with Eric and Molly, feeling like he's always belonged with their group. However, their parents eventually arrive and angrily disband the party, with Eric confessing to Schmidt that it was the best party he's ever attended and expressing interest in making quick money, no matter the means. The parents reprimand the boys, and in an attempt to relieve stress, the duo heads to a shooting range. There, Jenko admits to tapping Eric's phone, but Schmidt, who has grown fond of Eric, is unhappy about it. Eric gives Jenko some candy, which he later hands over to Dixon, making it appear as though he's sold the entire batch. As Jenko continues to grow closer to the nerd group, they engage in various experiments, which he surprisingly enjoys. Meanwhile, Schmidt develops a romantic connection with Molly. Jenko and his friends activate the spy software on Eric's phone and overhear Schmidt and Molly's conversation. She advises him to be cautious in the candy business to avoid getting into trouble because he's a nice guy. They also discuss the upcoming prom, with Molly hinting that she might attend if someone fun asks her, a reference to Schmidt. He reflects on past high school failures but still musters the courage to invite her to the prom, which she accepts. Although she leans in for a kiss, he decides against it and shakes her hand instead. The rest of the group joins them, inquiring about Schmidt's brother and the stark differences between the two. Schmidt tells them that Jenko is adopted and, in an unkind way, describes him as unintelligent. This deeply hurts Jenko, who is still listening to their conversation. Later at their hideout, Jenko is frustrated with Schmidt, and other undercover agents approach them, informing them that their candy has already spread to other campuses. Dixon expresses his anger at their lack of results. Jenko reveals that he tapped Eric's call and overheard something about a piñata. Outside, Schmidt questions Jenko about whether he heard anything else from Eric's phone, and Jenko, lying, claims he didn't. Before the play, Molly confides in Schmidt, telling him that he's the only guy she can trust. In the meantime, Jenko is presenting his chemistry homework when he spots Eric's friends playing with a piñata. He rushes off and calls Schmidt just before going on stage, promising to return as soon as possible. The two attempt to leave in their car, but it's clamped due to parking tickets they thought made them look cool. They borrow a student driver's car and spot Eric giving a piñata to a biker gang they had previously seen in the park. They follow the gang and begin to argue, leading to Jenko hitting the brakes, refusing to let go, and Schmidt hitting the gas, causing a collision with one of the bikers. This biker jumps onto their car in anger as they speed away. They pass through a red light, with the bikers in pursuit. As they swap between multiple cars along the way, one biker drives into a gas tank, but nothing explodes. Another biker crashes into a leaking fuel truck, yet again, no explosion. The last biker, carrying a piñata, collides with a truck full of chickens, resulting in an explosion. Back at school, Molly is concerned that Schmidt won't make it to the play. When the duo finally arrives, Jenko claims that Schmidt is compromising the entire operation due to his emotional involvement. Schmidt responds by calling him dumb. The play has already begun, but Schmidt pushes his way through and embarrasses Molly. He forcefully swaps with his substitute actor and takes to the stage, just as Jenko enters, angry that Schmidt called him dumb. Jenko falls, and Molly tells Schmidt she never wants to talk to him again. The two continue to argue, and the audience, thinking it's part of the show, is enthralled. Schmidt sprays some fairy dust, and that's when Jenko admits he overheard everything Schmidt discussed with Molly the night before. The principal arrives and informs them that they are expelled. Dixon, in disbelief, fires them instead. Jenko moves out and confesses to Schmidt that he considered them brothers and would have done anything for him. Eric arrives and tells them to get in the car. They drive to a secluded spot, and Eric explains that he's been scared ever since the cops followed him yesterday. Do you know what happens to good-looking guys like Eric in prison? It rhymes with grape. Eric hands them guns and asks for their help in a candy deal going down at the same time as the prom. It's time to get their jobs back, so they prepare for the prom. They dress in fancy suits, stock up on guns, perform some chores, and partially reconcile before heading out. At the prom, they go with Jenko's new friends. Schmidt finds Molly, who is high and confesses his real name and identity as a cop. He asks her to leave and then follows Eric to the meeting with the supplier, who turns out to be the PE teacher. In the bathroom, Jenko's friends are gathering evidence. They meet up with potential new customers, who happen to be the biker gang. The gang leader doesn't recognize them at first but then mentions that Schmidt looks familiar. Molly interrupts with phase 4 of the candy and angrily reveals that Schmidt is a cop. At that moment, the leader also realizes their true identity. Guns are pointed at both groups. Eric is knocked out, and Molly charges in but quickly falls asleep. The duo drops their guns, and it turns out that one of the bikers and another guy are DEA agents. The duo is relieved, but their joy is short-lived as the agents inform them that they've just ruined a 5-year operation. Nevertheless, they engage in a friendly conversation when both parties realize they are from the Jump Street division. Suddenly, one of the agents is shot, and a shootout erupts. Schmidt isn't the most useful in these situations. Eric and the PE teacher manage to escape with the money, and the biker gang pursues them. The duo exits their vehicle and joins the chase. A limo chase ensues with a shootout. Eventually, Jenko creates a makeshift cocktail of batteries, using his knowledge of chemistry, and throws it into the biker's limo, causing it to explode twice. They confront the PE teacher, who has taken Molly hostage. He starts shooting at Schmidt, but Jenko takes a bullet to protect his partner. Molly manages to escape the teacher's grasp, and Schmidt shoots the teacher in a sensitive area. They both arrest him and read him his Miranda rights. They genuinely reconcile and call each other their best friend. Schmidt apologizes to Molly and tells her she deserves better, and she kisses him. They are rehired as agents, and Captain Dixon is thrilled. He informs them that their next assignment will be in college. And at last I will say stay safe and stay healthy. See you next videos.